protect the vulnerable. We remember too, with thankfulness, all who work in the administration of council matters and invest their time in our communities, and we pray for those who cannot be here tonight. Finally, we bring before you our own concerns, those people close to us who are in our thoughts and in our prayers at this time. We ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Is to receive apologies for absence, and we have had apologies from Councillor Matt Jackson, Stephanie Brookfield, Sajid Ali, Katrina Fielding, Ashley Worley, Sonia Khan, Brian Taylor, Julie Slater. Are there any other apologies?
Councillor Siddharth, please.
Okay, thank you. The next item of business is for any declarations of interest. If any councillors do have any declarations, if they could complete the form and lodge it with the governance team as usual. And the next item of business is to receive and confirm the minutes of the council forum meeting from the 2nd of October and the minutes of the extraordinary council forum meeting of the 19th of November. So, Madam Mayor, the 2nd of October first.
Have we got any? Fine, thank you.
And the minutes of the
Thank you.
Okay. So, for the next item of business, if I could, Madam Mayor, remind councillors that in accordance with our constitution and the references on the guidance note, for this item, Policy Council will now move into committee, which means that the mace bearer, the mayor's officer, will remove the mace and we will be in committee format, so members are permitted to speak more than once. So the next item of business is to receive a report on national policy reflections, corporate plan update and local government reorganisation, which will be moved by the leader.
Right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Policy Council is obviously where we lay out what we've done and what we're going to do, and I think we're going to have, first of all, a little video. Is that right? Somebody over there? Video? Right, okay. So we'll have, first of all, and this is, I mean, people will be able to work out what it is. It's just a bit of a summary of what we've been doing and what we're hopefully going to do, and then I will make a few remarks, Madam Mayor. This council is on a mission to ensure no one is left behind. That's the big story. By skill and hard work, our staff are constantly striving to deliver the best possible services for our local residents. We're committed to supporting every single resident, no matter who they are, to achieve a good quality of life. From supporting our smallest residents to getting young people on the career ladder, from helping residents to set up home in the borough to giving them support in their later years, the council is here. Devolution has presented us with an opportunity to bring more money and more local decision making to Blackburn with Darwen and to Lancashire as a whole. In February, years of work came to fruition when the Lancashire Combined County Authority came into being.
The LCCA is a strategic authority with extra powers to address key priorities such as improving public transport, boosting economic prosperity and enhancing employment and skills across Lancashire. It does not deliver the local services to residents that Blackburn with Darwen Council continues to do. Already, the LCCA has produced Get Lancashire Working, a detailed plan for how we're going to raise employment rates and skills levels across the county, and the Lancashire Growth Plan, setting out how we intend to grow the county's economy, which of course will have a positive impact and create more opportunities for Blackburn with Darwen. We've also developed a local transport plan for Lancashire, a blueprint to create a transport network that works for everyone. The next big shake-up in local government is also on the horizon. Local government reorganisation has been a major focus for us in 2025 and will continue to be in the years to come. Here at Blackburn with Darwen Council, we pride ourselves on being a very well-run unitary authority. We've got more than 25 years' experience of managing children's and adult social care services and delivering ambitious growth programmes, among many other services. But we do agree that the current mixed picture of two small unitaries and the two-tier system of local government that's in place across most of Lancashire can be improved to unlock the region's full potential. An LGR with fewer, larger unitary authorities for Lancashire would be a significant step towards this. We've recently submitted our proposals to the government with our preferred option of creating an East Lancashire-wide unitary council that includes the Ribble Valley. We're awaiting government feedback and a public consultation is planned for spring 2026. It's important to say that we don't expect to see any changes to local authority boundaries and functions until 2028. This council will exist until that time. Services will still need to be delivered and we'll need our staff to deliver those services.
Devolution and LGR are major areas of focus, but they haven't distracted us from our priorities of supporting our communities and building a more prosperous borough. Here are some of the things we're most proud of from the last 12 months.
Achieving fantastic results in 2 major inspections of our children's services and adult social care. Continuing to support vulnerable residents, including offering financial advice and help. Welcoming over 101,000 people into our family hubs during the first quarter of this year to support local families to give their children the best start in life. Achieving the highest standards of care for our children and young people. Expanding our Stop Smoking service to help residents quit successfully. Securing loving, stable homes for children and young people by exceeding foster carer recruitment targets. Working with stakeholders and residents themselves on a co-production strategy to ensure adult services meet their needs. Launching pilot food waste collections and learning lots ahead of the borough-wide rollout in 2026. Developing a cultural strategy to help us bid for additional funding to support our cultural ambitions to host more national and international events in the years to come and make Blackburn with Darwen a real cultural powerhouse, building on the success of established events and venues we're lucky to have in our borough. Investing in our sporting facilities too, with 3 new tennis courts at Blackburn's Corporation Park. And opening the new Darwen Dome at Darwen Cricket Club, only the 2nd facility of its kind in the UK. Growth and development wise, we've seen some major schemes taking shape in the last 12 months, from improving our transport infrastructure to developing employment sites. from improving much needed youth centres to building more affordable homes. And the new Darwen Town Board has been moving forward with town deal funded projects, including upgrades to Darwen Market, Darwen Library and Library Theatre, creation of a state-of-the-art manufacturing research centre, and major works on Darwen Moors and in Sunnyhurst Woods.
With local government reorganisation coming up, we are demonstrating leadership on delivering plans to support improvements across Lancashire as a whole for the benefit of local residents. Myself and the two Deputy Council leaders represent Blackburn with Darwen in the new combined county authority, with key roles chairing boards looking at transport, growth and skills. I also sit as a member of the Board of Transport for the North and have begun a constructive dialogue with Northern's senior management team, working together to try and improve services that are vital to residents and visitors. Blackburn with Darwen is a council with a can-do attitude to maximise every opportunity that comes our way to make life better for our residents. Our staff are committed to playing their part in providing good, quality services to everybody. It's all part of the bigger picture.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just a few sort of observations really from me, I think, in support of that. The obvious point to begin with, I think, is about reorganisation and the restructuring. Nobody needs me to go through the tortuous story of where we've got to in terms of LGR, because we all know. So I think what we're waiting to hear next, I think, is which ones of the 5 options, maybe all of them, the government will put out to consultation. The consultation, I think, will take place in February and March, and then we're waiting really for them to announce what their decision is. Obviously, Madam Mayor, the sooner the better, in the context of the fact that if this is going to begin in 2027 and then in 2028, there's a lot of work to do, so people need to get on with it. So I think, you know, our encouragement really to the government has been, you don't, once they've had the consultation, they don't have to delay it forever and ever. They just please get on with it. So that's the ambition for 2027, 2028. And what you'll see is that in the corporate recommendations, I have inserted the fact that it would be good to get a good outcome for all of that local government reorganisation. I'm not sure there's much more we can do, but it's still worth mentioning. The other thing that I have put in there as well, and I'm hoping that, well, I think this is with everybody's support, is that we really do need to continue to try and press people for a Mayor of Lancashire. I mean, whatever people think about the idea of the Mayor and all of that kind of stuff, given that now everybody in the north of England has got one, and increasing numbers of counties are lining up for further, pieces of work in this direction, it just makes no sense at all. And anyone who'd followed the budget with any degree of interest will have noticed that there was a number of the major pronouncements were only for mayoral authorities, including, I think, £9 billion for affordable housing only for mayoral authorities. So if there are people who think that this is not a good idea, whatever their own personal views. And I'm not, Madam Mayor, I'm not having a conversation about anybody in here, but I think I'm having a conversation about the reform group who run Lancashire County Council at the moment. They're not doing the residents of Lancashire any good at all now by standing on the sidelines and watching everybody else, particularly our neighbours in terms of Greater Manchester, Liverpool, West Yorkshire, just get more and more sort of chunks of money to go ahead of us. So they're not doing that. So I've put it in there because I think it's an important thing that we should, at every opportunity, any of us, all of us, we need to try and put the pressure on to make sure that we just do the obvious and sensible thing. So those were those two changes. So that's, and we're still potentially in line for, we could get back into the fast track. I use that word advisedly because some people, we could get back into that in terms of a 2027 election for a mayor, which might well fit with the government's priorities in the sense that that would be elections on the same day for both a mayor of Lancashire and for the new unitary authorities. That would be a kind of neat way of tying it together. That's what we'll be trying to achieve. The other thing just to mention, obviously, is the combined county authority, which obviously now exists. And as I mentioned in the video, myself, Keza and Julie have significant roles to play in that. The transport function particularly, and some of you will have seen in the press today that we've started a bit of a consultation about potential new railway station somewhere between Blackburn and Darwin, or Blackburn and Darwin and Springvale. It's a consultation, that's what it is, really just to see if there's people who've got any interest in it, does it make sense? But we can start to do that because within the context of the combined authority, we've got a bit of a voice, and that's something that's been bothering me for years, really. Sitting on Transport for the North, listening to the schemes that come out of Manchester, where some of you will notice Andy Burnham's announced a underground system that which will cost a lot of money, and our difficulty has been that it's been really hard to break into that. With the combined authority, the world is a better place. It's not a perfect place, but it's a better place. So that's one of the other things that we will be significantly trying to pursue. And certainly I know Keza, who will probably speak to his own growth board, and Julie will speak to the skills board. But there's the skills board particularly is a really, we've got a lot going for us in terms of BWD, in the proximity of some of places like the National Cyber Force in Samlesbury, just outside of our town borders. Skills, top-end, high-quality jobs for which a lot of our young people will be very well attuned to be able to apply and take those jobs. But the other thing that we do need to think about is at the other end of the scale, and this isn't our problem as such, but it's a sort of society problem really, which is about the disappearance, and in that sense, technical developments like AI have a lot to do with this, which is the disappearance of those lower entry jobs which young people used to do. So when I was growing up in Chorley, one of the great ambitions, if you didn't go to university, was to get a job at Layla Motors, and that was where young people, young men particularly, got onto the sort of working ladder. They learned the habits of work and these kind of things. My concern, and it's not just my concern, the concern is that those kind of jobs, those lower entry jobs, are disappearing because it's the kind of stuff that you can make AI do for you. So if you want, there's a vaguely positive story there about technical developments, but really we've all got to keep our eye on that, because it would not be, given that we have a large number of the largest cohort of people who are off sick and can't work because they've got mental health problems are 18 to 24-year-olds. And that's just really hard to explain and very hard to defend. But, of course, if you are a young person and you keep applying for jobs and nobody ever replies, and you can see no route for yourself, then it wouldn't be a great surprise if people do end up with mental health issues. So I think there's a really serious problem for people to understand. And for all of us, really, in whatever circles that we work in, we need to keep our eye on that kind of lower entry job, the job that young people used to do, that got them into the world of work, that gave them a sort of sense of purpose, and then they obviously graduated and maybe became managing directors and whatever it is. So we need, Madam Mayor, to keep our eye on that. The obvious other point to make about our issues of next year is the budget. We're not clear yet as to what settlement we've got from the national budget. We're waiting. I think we will know the settlement that we get in, well, presumably before Christmas anyway. I think that's what we're being told. So I can't really give you much of an update on that. It's not particularly changed. We are still some millions short of being able to set a balanced budget, which we obviously will do in the end. But how we achieve that is probably still still in the lap of the gods. And then, of course, we've got a prognosis for next year, for the year after, rather. But, I mean, it is worth making the point, Madam Mayor, that whatever our issues in BWD are, they are as nothing compared to a lot of the major cities in the country. And the government needs to do, I mean, particularly in the context of things like the major reason why we have an issue this year, obviously, is placements of children outside of the borough, and that's an issue that is bedeviling everybody. And you'll all have read in the press some of these extraordinary sums of money that councils are being charged for particular young people who've got particular mental health issues, who go to a particular place. The government, in fact, has to do something about that, because it's not just our problem; it's the problem of really all local authorities. So those things will be sort of settled. I mean, I had a meeting last week with the Minister, Alison McGovern, to talk to her about the fair funding settlement. I think we just want to make sure that it is fair, and I had a very quick 15 minutes on Teams with her, really just to explain to her why certain things needed to happen, because it's called fair funding, and we particularly like it to be fair to us. It'd be nice if it was fair to everybody, but in the end, I'm not the leader of anywhere else, so it would be nice if it was fair to us. Really, to make the other point that obviously everything else, all our concentration on growth, you've seen the stuff that has happened, you've seen the stuff that we're aiming to do. Our concentration on growth is still important. In the context that we're in as a small unitary authority, but it wouldn't really make any difference if we became a bigger unitary authority. In the end, we have to grow, we have to do things, we have to attract businesses, we have to do the things that we've been doing very successfully, so we have to do more of those, and I know Keza will talk a little bit about that. So I think that's another thing. It would be remiss of me not to mention the fact that we obviously got good in both the Ofsted inspection and the CQC for both adult social care and for children's services, which is a wonderful achievement and unusual, because I think there's only one other local authority in the north of England that has done that, which I think is St Helens. So that kind of illustrates what we can do, and when we talk in that video about punching above our weight, that's the kind of thing that we talk about. So I think those are the kind of points. The other point to make, Madam Mayor, is at the end of the report, there's obviously the corporate performance for quarter two. Effectively, there are 3 reds on there. 2 of them are what I think I described at one of our more recent meetings, which are new sort of stretch targets that we've given ourselves in the world of adult social care as a result of the inspection, things that whilst we were doing okay, we thought we could do better. And then the other one is the curiosity, really, which is that that we are one of the best fostering hubs in the country, but it's just not good enough. So that's the other thing that we're falling short on. And if there was a key if there was a magic key that one could sort of turn to unlock large numbers of things, a large number of new foster parents would really be the answer to that, because that would then start to resolve not just issues for young people. I think we have a significant number of young people who are currently in placements but could be fostered if there was anyone who was prepared to do that. So I think it will be good for young people. It would also mean that we don't get involved in these placements all over the country, which are also very expensive. So that's the reason that's on there. As I said, whilst we are one of the best in the country, it probably says more about the state of the world, really, than anything else. So I think, Madam Mayor, with that, I will move the report.
Can I, just before I second it, Madam Mayor, say a few words on the growth element of the report as well, please? Yeah. I will second it shortly, but I'd just like to say a few things on the growth element, if that's all right with yourself. So, thank you. I think as the leaders covered, we have been a borough for many, many years now which have been very pro-growth, and will continue on that journey for growth, as into the future as well, and whatever that future looks like for us. And I think in anticipation of the devolution that we expect to go through the process in the coming months, if not in the next year or so, we're already on that journey in terms of investing in our infrastructure. We've already started making some significant investments in the infrastructure around our borough in terms of our road improvements, and we're also on that plan, like the leader outlined, in terms of across Lancashire, developing that Lancashire transport plan, which looks at further investment into our bus services, which makes connectivity across our borough much easier, and easier to sort of navigate and travel across Lancashire. We've also launched the growth plan. Many of you will have seen the growth plan. That's the growth plan covering across Lancashire as part of the Lancashire County Authority. That is all encompassing in terms of looking at the opportunities that we've got to grow, bring in more skilled jobs in many different sectors across Lancashire, so creating those opportunities for our residents to be able to take up those skilled jobs across Lancashire, and we'll continue to work with the LCCA to drive that forward. As a borough, I think we covered at the last meeting in terms of the investment into parts of our borough to overcome some of the challenges around sort of traffic, and Junction 5 is a key project for us. That's started, that's ongoing, and will carry on for the next couple of years, which will make significant improvements in that part of the town where we've got significant challenges with traffic and congestion. So those works, it's a 16-month programme and a £30 million investment from the government, and the compound is on site now, and from the new year you will see a lot more in terms of the work actually happening in terms of the widening and the improvements. The leader touched on the Blackburn growth axis. It really does underpin our local plan, and something that we're proud of as a local authority. We're one of very few local authorities locally who have a local plan, and our local plan came into effect before the change of government, and the government started to go on the trajectory of growth and developing housing, and our targets in that growth plan were already in line with what the government was predicting for us. So again, clearly showing that as part of our growth strategy and as part of our housing strategy, we were getting things right. And if we put the growth plan for housing and the skills together, that's got the makings of creating hundreds of thousands of jobs across our borough and across Lancashire for people to sort of take up. Our housing delivery has been really steady and steadfast and consistent for the number of years now. We've consistently delivered housing numbers through every year, touching 450, 500 every year that we've continued to deliver in terms of completions. We've got a number of schemes across the borough which are already well underway, and other schemes which are in the pipeline to help deliver those housing targets that we have for ourselves. And again, it goes around giving those opportunities for our residents to improve the quality of life, and for those who aspire to get into better quality of housing and better standard of housing, they can do that as well. And we see that from the figures, Madam Mayor, that more than 50% of the new housing that is being developed and being completed is being taken up by residents within the borough. So clearly giving that opportunity, but also encouraging skilled workers to come into the borough and move into some of those houses as well. In terms of our cultural investment, we have been working on that on a number of years, and you'll have seen in the video. We have a number of NPOs in the borough, and the Festival of Making is one which gets national accreditation and national sort of recognition, and we continue to work with our cultural offer, and we've got investment going into King George's Hall and the Cultural Quarter, again enhancing that offer for our residents, but not only that, but for wider people who will come and then sort of use the King George's Hall when it's ready, hopefully next year. Our town centres, and namely Darwen Town Centre, has benefited significantly from the Darwen Town deal over the years. That's accumulated in over £100 million worth of investment in the Darwen Town deal, and some of those projects have completed. Some of those are actually ready to be kicking off again, and again that video covered the Darwen Town Hall improvements, the Darwen Town Square, the Darwen Markets, the Library Theatre, all those investments, and we've got AMRC coming into Darwen as well. So again, all those investments making that possible as part of the Darwen Town deal, creating future jobs. And not to forget, last but by no means least, is the climate action. We have got a climate emergency declared as a borough, and it was only at the last exec board meeting that we gave an update on that, and we continue with that strategy to do everything we can as a local borough to make an impact in terms of reducing our carbon emissions. And it's worth reiterating that we as a borough, as a local authority, should I say, are only responsible for 2% of those, but we have to work with the wider stakeholders across our borough and the residents in terms of everybody playing their part to help us deliver on our climate strategy. So there's a number of things there that that are really happening from a growth perspective. So I just wanted to cover them off and second that report, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Councillor John Slater.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Some glaring misses in this, but I'll get to that. The first thing is to agree with you about the Mayor. I've been calling for one for a long time, the same as you have, fighting my own lot when we were in power and other Conservative leaders who were against it. I want this done as soon as possible. I wouldn't like to see a Hampshire scenario where your government's knocking it back and knocking it back. I'd like to see, like you say, it fast-tracked. Even if it's 28, I'd be happy to accept that, because like you said, the budget for geeks like me and you who go through the fine detail, the amount of money that went to the combined mayoral authorities was phenomenal. And you can't get away from that, and the people of Lancashire are missing out. And we need to get together, and we need to get that sorted so that the people of Lancashire do not miss out like they are doing now. Another thing for you, I would have loved, and I've been campaigning for it for years, for the train station at Lower Darwen to be redone. So if you could put that on your list, that would be great. And I'm really positive about the combined authority and the way it's doing it, and I welcome your inputs to it, and hopefully that will be an underpinner for what's to come. And I really do think now there needs to be some serious pieces of work which is glaring out of here. And now you might turn around and say you're waiting for it, but you know it's coming, so why wait? the amount of work that's got to be done to get this to get this up and running, the 3, 2, 4, whichever authorities they pick, the amount of work for asset transfer, for tutoring staff, for everything else that needs to be done, needs to start working now. It needs the chief execs to get together to start the work. It needs the councillors to start, the leaders to start to get together, because this is a massive piece of work that needs doing. It cannot be underestimated by anybody in this room, the gravitas of what needs to be done and what a big, big thing it is to do. And the timelines are so tight that if we don't start now, there will be slippage, because you will not be able to get it done. The unions will need to be engaged with, the staff will need to be engaged with from every part of the borough and every part of Lancashire, in every council. Assets need to be looked at, from where they're going to be, what we're going to use, what can be done, where it needs to be transferred, or the covenants, all sorts of things that need to be done, which are glaring out of this policy council. And the other thing that's glaring out of here, that if the election goes through in 27, every policy that we agree in, everything that financially or contracts, will have to combine with them. We can't start going off on our own tangent when there's an authority there that we all need to amalgamate in. And we're not just the only council that have to do that. Every council will do that. But there's glaring missing here. And like I say, you might turn around to me and say, John, well, we're waiting. We need to do this. We need to do that. And you might not have put it in. There might be work there that's being done that you haven't put in. But it's not there. And the people of this borough need to be reassured, the staff need to be reassured to an extent as well, that you are on top of this. Because if you're not, and the other councils aren't as well, it doesn't matter what goodwill there is from government, and it doesn't matter what goodwill there are from the people, it will not work in the timelines that need to be done. You know yourself, I don't need to tell you, you know what needs to be done and the work that needs to be done. But I'm surprised that as part of your policy council, you have not started to drive that forward. Like I say, you might come back to me and say, oh, and then I'll be reassured and that's fine. But it's not there. And then there is the day-to-day stuff that we need to still do, which you have addressed, and I'm glad to see that you have done that, to again reassure residents that although the bigger picture's there, their lives are still here and that we are still helping them and reassuring them that service will be done. But we will keep doing it, and we will keep pushing, and we will keep pushing you, and we will do that. I mean, the classic example for me is you've got a red here now for foster families. It wasn't that long ago that our side put forward a suggestion for you about council tax for future foster parents within this borough. You said no. Maybe you'd like to look at that again. All these financial incentives that we do that help people, especially in the situation that we find ourselves in, the cost of living crisis, a budget which is going to take millions and millions of pounds out of people's pockets. We don't agree with that. Obviously, that's your government that's done that. But the benefit of that is that at least it looks like we are benefiting and helping those foster carers, and it is an incentive. And like I said, it is a red, something that you could maybe re-look at. I don't care if you redress it up with something else and call it something else. I don't want to give us credit for it, that's fine. But these are things that we need to look at and work together, because like I said, we still need to do the day job. We still need to make sure that even though in the future Darwin and Blackburn will be part of a bigger picture, at this minute in time we are all here till 28, making sure that the wheels don't come off the bus. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Julie Gunn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was listening to Phil and thinking, I was going to say that. I'm going to start, though, by saying watching that video really does remind us of our track values and how proud I am to be deputy leader this council that really does go above and beyond, and is a feisty little council, as I like to describe us, who does try their very hardest and is supported by the most wonderful staff who work with integrity day in, day out. And I think that video really demonstrates that. It also makes me very excited for the future, that in terms of local government reorganisation, that when we look forward to being part of a wider, bigger local authority, we'll have the opportunity to work alongside more people with those kind of ambitions for everyone. So I do look forward to that. And in terms of the elected mayor model, absolutely, fully supportive of moving towards, and it's great to have John's agreement on that as well, moving towards the mayoral model. It can only be the right thing for Lancashire. We have seen the positive impacts that a directly elected mayor has had in places like Liverpool, City Region, in places like Manchester. We do not want to be the last little area, although it's quite a big area, we don't want to be the last area without an elected mayor, so that we then are losing out on all of those announcements that were, for example, raised in the budget speech last week in terms of the funding that's going to mayoral authorities. So I do urge our LCCA to continue to develop, to fight for further devolution. As the leader says, I sit on the Lancashire Combined County Authority Skills Advisory Board, and from August 2026, that we will have the Adult Skills Fund of £40 million devolved to that authority, to that organisation. And that really gives us the opportunity to tune all of that funding to exactly where we know we need it. And I'm going to give you an example. This afternoon I've spent an hour and a half at our employment board. That's merged with our SEND employment board. So that gives us an opportunity to work with those groups that we know that we want to target, like those young people who might be excluded because of SEND, work with employers about how to encourage employers to work with young people with SEND, but also working with all ages of people with SEND. And today we were discussing the age-friendly pledge, age-friendly employer pledge. All of that opportunity through devolution, because skills is being devolved. We do have that power already. But imagine that on every area of our working life. That will be transformational for Lancashire. It would be really a retrograde step not to support a mayoral authority. And I'm really hopeful that we will soon have a very positive answer on that. We know that in time we could go down that road anyway. But wouldn't it be great if Lancashire residents know that their political leaders know what's right for them and are going to do the right thing by them and support the mayoral model, which in this chamber I can see we all do. In terms, John, on my red in the KPIs, you're absolutely right. Fostering is, as Phil has said, it is a national issue. We're not shying away from that fact. We're not excusing ourselves for that either. It is a national issue. There has been a reduction in the number of foster carers nationally. We know that when a child can't live with their birth family for whatever reasons, we always try, if we can't keep them with their extended family or through family networks, we will always try and place them in a home environment like fostering. We do have some strategies coming down the line that we are hoping that will encourage further people to take up the role of foster carer, because we know that the impact on those young people's lives is transformational. A few weeks ago we were at our celebration of achievement event for our children in care and care leavers, and that really is a fantastic event to celebrate what I really believe are our future leaders, really. Some of those young people who have been through situations and experiences that we can only imagine have made something really positive, and lots of university graduates were there, lots of people couldn't be there because they were at university. It's a really positive story, fostering. So I am hopeful that we will be able to improve on our numbers, because as you know, John, it's a real passion of mine. We will try everything in the book. The DFE have described our fostering hub, which is the fostering hub for the 5 LAs in the Northwest, as the best performing hub in the country, which is great, but it hasn't done the trick yet. We still need more. So I will be coming to Executive Board in a few, not this month, but probably in January, with some proposals. We will be looking to align, because the future is LGR. We are going to have some foster carers who currently, for example, foster with Lancashire County Council, who will become foster carers perhaps, hopefully, for the new Pennine or East Lancashire or whatever that's determined to be called authority. So that kind of alignment hopefully will have a positive impact as well. The Adult Skills Fund is really going to be transformational, because we do have autonomy over it from August. We've got plans. We're looking at developing a strategy for a career strategy for across the whole of Lancashire, from kind of reception right through to year 13, so that we're looking at what's available, what's our local need for employment, aligning that with employers' needs, but also what do our young people want, making sure that the offer that's available to them is something that they're interested in or believe is for them, because there's nothing worse than a child believing that good things only happen to other people. It's vital that we make sure that everybody in this borough knows, as a young person, you have the right to expect the very best for you in your future. So thank you. And finally, we've had another little burst of money through the Youth Investment Fund. We as you know, we had some huge success for Darwen Youth Centre and for Audley Children's Centre. We're on with those developments, and they should be opening and finishing December, January, so opening January, February, hopefully very, very soon. That's going to be really helpful and really important for our young people to have that investment. We've also, the government has just announced as well, the Family Hubs, continued funding for Family Hubs, Best Start in Life Family Hubs, because they know, like we do, that when we co-design family hubs around the needs of our families and we get it right for them, the turnout and the use of those family hubs is really, really impressive. We had the pleasure of bringing the High Sheriff to one a few weeks ago, who was absolutely thrilled to see the partnership working that's there. We've got, in one of our family hubs, we've got a church. In two of our family hubs now, Bill, we've got them in two. We can register births in 2 family hubs now, we've promised. So, there's a lot of really good work happening across those 4 family hubs and children's centres that are satellites to them. There was one other point I was going to make, and just to say, so there's the Adult Skills Fund and the Connect to Work and the Work Well funds. All of this money is about those groups that Phil was talking about, who we know are led to believe that they can't be employed. So it would be immoral for us to continue to say to young people, because you've got this condition, we don't think there's anything for you, we'll sign you off sick. We cannot do that. We cannot accept that. It is not right. We cannot consign a group of young people to continually being marginalised. So the being able to tailor the Connect to Work and the Work Well programmes to our very local needs is really going to be is really significant. I think we've brought that paper to Executive Board, so I don't need to go into too much detail about that. But just to say, again, I'm really proud of that video. I'm really proud of the officers who every day go above and beyond and work incredibly hard to serve our residents of the borough who do deserve the best. Thank you.
Councillor Salim Connaught.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There was a couple of things I wanted to touch on. First of all, it's about the plan which the leaders mentioned. I think it goes back many years of work by the members, the officers and the residents of the borough. This is the fruition of the work that's been happening, for some time. That video alone there explains so much work that has happened. But I think it's important that we look to the future. What's been mentioned up to now is wonderful, but it's important that we all work together for the benefit of our borough. And Lancashire has been mentioned. I don't want to repeat what's already been mentioned, but I think the importance of going forward is so important. But if you may allow me to mention a couple of things which Councillor Sidat has texted me. He's not here today because of bereavement in the family. So what he said to me to mention here is, The comment Salim Sidar, councillor, said that due to the family bereavement, he's not able to attend this forum today. However, he welcomes the council's commitment to implementing the government's social care reforms with full delivery in children's services by January 2026, strengthening the multicultural, the multi-agency approach to child protection is vital. On education, the pilots for universal free breakfast clubs are especially important here in Blackburn with Darwin, where more than 12,800 children, over a third of pupils, live in poverty, and many risk starting the school day in Hungary. The proposed uniform regulations will also help ease financial pressures on the families. He also notes that in Blackburn with Darwin already meets the statutory duty to maintain the register of children not in full-time education, but within the 290 children currently homeschooled locally. It's vital that we continue to balance parental choice with safeguarding responsibilities. I'd welcome the clarity on how the Council will measure the impact on these reforms and support schools and families in delivering them effectively. In Audley and Queen's Park area, for example, child poverty exceeds over 40%, among the highest in Blackburn with Darwin. He welcomes the opportunity to work with the Children's for the Wellbeing Bill. Free breakfast clubs, affordable uniforms, and stronger child protection are vital steps to everyone and in everyone's families. But they must go further. Without proper funding and flexibility, these measures will fail short. Let's work together to turn this ambition into a real change and give every child what they deserve. Thank you.
Julie Gunn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Given it's committee, I'll take the opportunity to thank Councillor Conant for that, for his comments, and Salim Sadat too. It's great that the praise of what our Labour government is doing is felt from your group as well. We really do appreciate that. So in terms of the social care reforms, you're absolutely right. We've started implementing them ahead of time because we believe it's the right thing to do. I won't bore you with the details, but basically what it means is early family help where families are. So in our case in Blackburn with Darwin, in our family hubs, we will have, we already do, we're rolling out this already, social workers in those family hubs working alongside families. We will have an earlier help offer that doesn't necessarily break and get interrupted should a child's needs change, or should a child proceed through the continuum of need. I know this is really quite dull for a lot of you, but the continuum of need used to have break points and where a child would have to work with a different social worker, etc. What we're planning to do with the reforms is make that much smoother so that the same workers work with the family from the very beginning. But it's all about keeping families together where possible. So it's not about it's moving away from that model, which I'm proud Blackburn with Darwin already had moved away from, I have to say. But it's moving away from the model of children's services swooping in and stopping families seeing each other. It's the absolute opposite. It's about working with families, and it's a strength-based model that keeps families together. That keeps families, if a family is struggling to support their child, who around the family can support the family? That's the model. And I'm pleased to say that's something we've always maintained in our early help offer, but this is the government making this more of kind of statutory standing and more of a statutory function. So the social care reforms are really welcome. Breakfast clubs, free breakfast clubs, absolutely. We've got a school in the borough who was one of the pilots, and that rollout will continue. Elective home education, quite right, Salim's right. It is a parent's right to electively home educate their child. We know in Blackburn with Darwin, we've always tried to maintain contact with any family that educates their child at home and offers the same level of support to that child that they would get if they were in school. And by that, I mean things like our oral health strategy, when we do supervised supervised toothbrushing in schools, the same offer is given to children who are electively home educated. When the vaccination offer is made, it's made to those children as well through the nursing process. So it's always been important to make sure that the welfare of those children who are electively home educated is held up high. How will we monitor the impact of the social care reforms? We'll do what we're doing now, Solly. We will make sure that we get feedback from families. And the feedback we've had from families so far has been overwhelmingly positive, and that's given us the courage to continue and know that we're doing the right thing. We will respond to feedback. We always do. There's no point doing something if families don't think it works for them. We want to work with families and make sure that we, like I say, wherever possible, keep them together and offer holistic support. So I think, yes, and I like you, the Children's Welfare Bill, absolutely. The school uniform, cost of a school uniform is something that in this borough, we've tackled, we've been challenging. The previous government tried to make inroads on this, didn't really have the desired effect. In fact, some schools introduced more branded uniform items. What our government is now doing is limiting the number of branded uniforms that schools can require their pupils to wear. Our brilliant youth forum are working alongside us on this because, as you know, for them, child poverty is a key issue. So they are working along with us and working with schools to consult with them on which items they believe they have to have, which 3 items they believe that they need to have, and that will help, hopefully, reduce the cost further to families because, quite right too, that's what we should be doing. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
If there's no one else wishes to speak, we'll be voting by button. Phil, if you want to respond.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of points, really, was to, really just to, I think, to thank both John and Suleiman for their observations. But yeah, John, a very eloquent explanation of why this is going to be bloody hard. I'm very pleased about that. But your points were all absolutely correct. It is, on the face of it, this is a once in every 50 years kind of change. So it is going to be difficult. I think I'm hoping that once we get some level of clarity on what the choice for the LGR is going to be, then we can start to work with those councils who will be our partners to start to work out what's the best way to go forward. In terms of the staffing, you're right. The combined authority becomes the Transport Authority on the 1st of April. And at that stage, they will be responsible for all sorts of curiosities like bus passes and such like. So it's patently clear that we ought to be getting on with that. And in fact, Denise and I were talking yesterday about how we need to start to transition some people either from the county council or from within BWD, or recruit them into the new Transport Authority, because quite patently we will pick up a whole set of responsibilities. So I think we're on to it. Having said that, nothing I'm saying undermines the point you were making, which is that this is going to be very difficult and arduous, but we're up for it. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
If there's no one else wishes to speak, Councillor John Slater.
And me, train station of Lord Allen.
Fill up the forms, John, and encourage other people to do it. Please.
We will now take a vote by button.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At this point, the meeting will move out of committee and the mace will be returned to the stand. From somewhere. Thank you. Madam Mayor, the next item of business is to receive the draft year planner for 2026-27. It is just for noting because the final version will come to Council Forum on the 29th of January 2026.
Inform everybody, the Mayor's Ball is to be held at Blackburn Rovers on Valentine's night, the 14th of February. So I hope you'll all attend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That concludes the formal business of this Policy Council meeting.